Welcome to Sisters in Service. I am your host, Kat Corchado. On today's show, I am interviewing Sierraneblina, an Army veteran who has a unique business cultivating hemp and cannabis for medicinal uses. CNN called her business the standard to be followed in medical cannabis. Stay tuned to find out how she is helping veterans and others nationwide. Now, on to the interview. Sierra, welcome to Sisters in Service. How are you?
Thank you so much, Kat. It's such an honor to be here with you. Thank you for bringing me on today.
It's great to meet you. Again, for my audience, I met Sierra in a clubhouse room, and she was speaking on something that's going to be our subject today. And I was just fascinated as to what she does, how she does it, how she was able to be this one woman tornado in Colorado in helping medicinal cannabis come about. So thank you so much, Sierra. It's glad to have you. So first of all, let's talk about your service. What was your service? How long did you serve? What was your job in the military?
So I originally went in 1990. I went for the GI Bill, and I originally joined as a combat engineer. More like hands-on kind of a thing, and didn't really want, the officer type thing. I really wanted to go out there, use my hands, and get in it. So I joined as a combat engineer in the reserves initially. It'd been since Vietnam that there was a war, and people were joining like, there's not going to be any wars. It's not a big deal.
Oh, yeah. Wait a minute.
Oh, man. Did I join just in time for Gulf War?
Yeah.
The Desert Storm, Desert Shield, the very first 9-day conflict that there was, right? In Bush Senior time.
Talk about timing.
Oh man, you you should have seen my face. I was in ROTC in high school, and I went in, of course, as a squad leader and a little bit higher rank. I think as an E3 when I went in to boot camp. And so I'm there as a squad leader. So it's like we're getting towards the end of our training, end of boot camp, getting ready to go into advanced individual training, AIT, and we're in. Let me hang on a second. I'm trying to remember. This is a long time ago, you guys, and this is a couple strokes ago. But
it's okay.
It doesn't matter. I don't think it's important. But basically, I was in just in time to be brought into the commander's office as a squad leader to see that Gulf War, the Desert Storm had just started. And I'm like, yes, sir, but what does it have anything to do with us? Because your squad's being activated. Excuse me? It was the whole platoon. It was the whole company or whatever. Right. But we had a very specific training back then in 1990. We had this. I went to Fort McClellan, Alabama. We were the last all-female company to go through there, and we were doing MP crossover training, so military police crossover training. It was like this program in Fort McClellan that was going on in the late 80s that they don't do anymore. So basically they considered us a bit more trained up, and they were going to send us off because they thought we were going to go into full theater, full combat war, laying out the whole thing. But we didn't. That particular conflict ended in 9 or 13 days altogether. I think it was. They sent the Patriot missile in there, and it just kicked total butt. And they reversed. We were getting our butts kicked by the Scuds, and we didn't have something comparable enough until we reverse engineered the Patriot missile, which is 3 times larger than the Scud missile, to start blasting them out of the sky. And that's how we were able to shut that conflict down in such a quick amount of time. So I was activated. My unit was vaccinated. We were put on the ready. We were just sitting around with our duffels, with all of our gear.
Waiting for the orders, waiting for the word. Yeah.
Yeah. So so I received the vaccination, and that's where we get to with this whole story.
Mm-hmm. So before we get to that, how was your transition from the military? So you're in, you get out, and then you start to transition. How was that for you?
It was hard. I tried to get the GI Bill and go back to college. I just went back and I just like looked at everybody weird. I didn't have that same happy-go-lucky, carefree life that you have before you go through boot camp. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? I was conditioned soldier, and
Mm-hmm.
then I was put back in this fun college environment, and I really couldn't participate. I also got kind of screwed up pretty badly in training. A couple of issues happened in training, some severe concussion, right shoulder injury that
Oh, goodness.
still dealing with to this day.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah.
Well, you know what I find interesting is that I had a conversation with a guest on my show, and she said that she was from a small town, and she left the small town, went into the military, came back to the same town, but it was different. And it wasn't that it was different, she was different.
Yes.
And you can't just not be, you know what I'm saying? It's like you can't just get into the fold again. Just like you talked about that college atmosphere. You're not that anymore.
Yep.
You've seen and done things, and they're just like, "Ooh, let's go get drunk," and you're like, "Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm okay. I'm good with
good.
that."
Yeah, it's like, no, I want to go do something else. I want to focus on something else. And then I don't know. They did weird things like call me grandma, even though I was only like officially, I guess it would be a sophomore in college or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just had that air about me. I had been exposed to something that they hadn't.
Yeah.
I was different in the way that I carried myself and what I did. And like I was an expert in grenades and marksman, and
Mm-hmm.
I went on to some other special training, some hand-to-hand knife combat training, knife fighting type of a thing, because I was a black belt before I even went into the military, and just really love that kind of thing. Like MMA is my whole, it's my whole thing.
It's your deal. That's my deal. That's what I do.
Deal.
Don't mess with her, people.
It's my thing. I love it. I just absolutely love it.
Well, I think it's, you were older, but not necessarily in age, but just an experience.
Exactly.
And they were able to see that and feel that,
Yeah.
And it's just different, it's totally different. So tell us, or tell our audience and me, about your business.
Oh my goodness. This was something that I came to in a real roundabout way. Because first of all, y'all should know I was raised in a real conservative household. I mean, real. We didn't go do anything secular. We did everything with the church. And I did a lot of really fun things with the church. I toured around, I sang and stuff, but our whole lives were built around the church. We were Southern Baptist, and, I wasn't allowed to go do secular things. And so I was also an extreme athlete in high school. I represented the United States in basketball against the Sweden and Finland Olympic teams. I was handpicked to go over there, and it was during the late 80s when they were trying to really grow women's skills, basketball, in other parts of the world. And our high school team, which was the ranked best in the nation, which is here, and by the way, in Colorado, Arvada High School was a 5A school, and we were champions. And several of us, and then several women or girls from other high schools were handpicked. We put together a team. Same with the boys, girls teams, and we went over there and we competed against their Olympic team, because in our growth and our experience and our skills, we were better than their Olympic team. And so we were going there to better their Olympic team, to make them better. And
wow, what a trip.
Like this. Yeah, this crazy, like not really an exchange thing, but just like this crazy,
but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was neat. It was, I'll never forget, just a quick little side note. We set screens so hard in high school, like here in it's no joke. Like Arvada High School was extremely competitive. We had in 1988 meditation coaches in track to make our times better.
That was unheard of back then.
Yeah, this is they were doing some extreme. But Colorado has always sort of been more advanced in the sport type things, especially around Olympics and Olympic type gold type things because of the altitude. And so a lot of people find themselves here. And so a lot of things around Colorado popped up in training and that type of thing. And so Rodman of the team. Okay. So my job was defense. And when that girl hit me, you would have think all my teammates would have jumped on her. No, they jumped on me because they knew I was going to kill her. Yeah. So they dragged me over to the coach who then dragged me, and everybody stopped, including the referees. They didn't even call a foul because they were like, what is happening here?
What happened?
Because my team knew I was about to annihilate this chick.
Right.
And so they grabbed me, pulled me over. The coach grabbed me by my jersey, dragged me to the nearest exit, kicked up in the door and threw me out. And he knew that by the time I find my way back, I'd be calm.
Calm. Yeah. Wow.
And all cleaned up.
Wow. You know, it's funny. I played basketball when I was in service, and we had a game in Colorado. It was Colorado Springs. So what no one tells you is about the humidity. Okay.
Or the altitude, right?
Our butts. Okay. It was so bad that they would get the rebound. We wouldn't even run after them. We're like, we'll see you when you come back at this end.
I'm telling you.
Like, go ahead. We'll just be here when you get back.
We would mess with people like all the way in high school. We would mess with teams that would come. We would play with the heat full blast in our gym. And so not only did they have to come up to Denver at 5,000 feet and play us, but then they had to play in a gym where the heat was on full blast. That was a trick Coloradoans used.
That's me.
That's what they did. They turned up the heat and that brought in the moisture, and then you're screwed. You can't do it, the moisture and the altitude. It's a trick. Right. I'm giving away the tricks of Colorado teams.
So what about your business? How did you get into that?
As soon as I was vaccinated, and what I do is just to answer the question, I'm a cultivation consultant, and I specialize in large canopy, organic soil practices, soil science practices. I help people convert and farmers convert from regular food growing over to hemp or to cannabis. But we found a large exodus in the last 5 years of food growers to hemp, which is amazing, especially here in Colorado. And here in Colorado, the governor just a couple of years ago put $280 billion towards the hemp industry. We opened one of the first hemp wood manufacturers in Denver. He wanted to position Colorado as the leader with anything having to do with cannabis and hemp. And so we started, and I helped this program get going during the pandemic, and should be going full board by now in the college here in CSU Pueblo. We have the first full cannabis accredited degree program that you can go into and learn everything from cultivation to management of dispensaries, and anything has to do with the cannabis industry. And that is an accredited degree program now, 4-year degree program here in CSU. I found my way to this, not any way by any kind of plan. I can tell you, I was a multi-million-dollar spec and custom home builder in Aspen Vale, Summit County, Colorado. I told you I like to use my hands. So when I got out of the military, I did do a jaunt active duty. But when I got out of the military, I out processed in Fort Carson, Colorado. I walked onto a framing crew. This was 1993. And in 6 weeks, I was running that framing crew just because I came from high school. My dad taught me carpentry. I learned in a wood shop.
Mm-hmm.
And I just stuck to it. I just did years and years of remodeling and then became a builder. As this is going along, though, and as I'm building my career as a project manager, then a builder, and so on, I'm dealing more and more and more with my Gulf War syndrome. From the moment that I was activated and I walked down that hallway or in that room of 20 or 30 different people on either side of me getting vaccinations, walking down and another shot and another shot and another shot, I immediately became ill. And I started having problems from the moment I was stuck in the arm with migraines and reproductive pains and issues. I was constantly in the hospital. I was constantly in the emergency room. It's either severe migraines or severe menstrual issues that started to work themselves out to every time of the month. It didn't matter when it was. I was in severe pain.
Wow.
I never responded well to Western medicine. Taking painkillers made me very nauseous.
Right.
So I made a bad habit of, because I didn't know any better, eating, 4 to 6 Advil like candy a day, just trying to manage my pain and keep going like a boss.
Right. What's funny is my husband was diagnosed at 32 with rheumatoid arthritis. And it coincidentally corresponded to him getting the anthrax shot.
I believe it.
And I'm not saying that's what happened. It's just kind of a coincidence, because rheumatoid arthritis at 32. I'm like, really?
That was one of the things they were finding out about Gulf War for the longest time. See, here's the issue with it. Like, I believe that they mess around and put stuff in vaccines they shouldn't. Back in the day when they were really like fighting polio and different things like that, they just put stuff in there to kill the one thing. But now they're messing around. Now they're playing God. And I don't buy into conspiracy theories, but I'm educated and grown up enough to read what's in this stuff. And I wouldn't put it in my body. I just didn't know any better. I was in the military. I didn't realize when I raised my hand and took that oath that I became military property and government property.
Oh, no idea. Government issue, honey.
Had no idea. I had just become government issue. I had a friend in training. I recycled and went active duty because I was so impressed with 16 Tango Patriot missile that I became 16 Tango, and I had to really fight for that because that is a combat oriented MOS, 16 Tango. And it's airborne. It's also attached to airborne. And so I fought. I got in. I was pulled aside by my NCO who oversaw our training. We didn't have drill sergeants because we were recycled. It was our second or third or whatever training. And my NCO said, "I'm here to tell you that no woman's going to graduate this program." And I said, "Permission to speak frankly." I took off my BDU top and I laid it across the chair and I leaned over that desk and I put my finger in his face. And it was not the smartest thing to do because it caused me a lot of hell. And I said, not only am I going to graduate, but I'm going to graduate honors. And he messed with me the entire time. But I did. I graduated honors.
Wow.
As lead driver from Patriot from 16 Tango.
So here's a question that I've always wanted to know. What's the difference between hemp, cannabis, and CBD?
Great questions. Hemp. So cannabis, let me just go back a little bit too. Back in the day, cannabis, before it started to get messed with gene-wise to try and make it a more potent THC carrying plant, the cannabis plant naturally was more of a cross between a hemp and a cannabis plant. See, in our bodies, we have an endocannabinoid system. They don't teach you this in school. I know because I was EPLS and I learned all about that stuff in high school and college. That was my degree I was going to go for and was biology. And so we have an endocannabinoid system. It's basically it exists in between every nerve synapse. It exists in our bones, our tissues, our everywhere through our organs and our body and our brain. We have this endocannabinoid receptors, and we have free radical toxins that burn out those receptors. And I strongly believe it is the root to all disease. Is these endocannabinoid receptors get burned out from free radical toxins in our air, food, and water. that exist around us. And that creates diseases. So then I also believe in a higher power, and I believe a higher power put that plant on the planet
for a reason.
Because it is the only thing that is built specifically, tailored exactly to that endocannabinoid system in our body that I was telling you about. It's the only thing you can't make up. You can't do some false form of this. You can't produce it through pharmaceuticals. Synthetically is what I'm trying to say. It's a natural occurring compound, and it's a cannabinoid. So CBD is one of some 300 and something different cannabinoids now they have found across the cannabis and hemp plants. Okay. So THC is a cannabinoid. Okay. It is just it is where it falls in the amino acids and so on. And not only, and now we found out there's THC, but there's delta THC and there's delta 8 THC. And now you're starting to get into protein chains and different things like that. But basically, if you just break it down to our body has this system that nobody ever told us about. And if you think about it, and I've come to find out over the years, it's because the pharmaceutical and alcohol companies don't want you to, and it's been written out of textbooks. Okay. If you're sick enough, you're going to keep coming back and buying their pharmaceutical thing. And I'm boldly saying it. I don't care. So the difference between the hemp and cannabis plant is that over the years in the illegal trade that people have been forced into, they genetically modified cannabis plants to try to get higher and higher THC. So they stopped producing the cannabinoid profile that they would normally have in their plant system. Now, the reason why I like hemp and hemp for CBD, not industrial hemp. Industrial hemp is something completely different, which I believe that we need as much as hemp for CBD, the medicinal end. Because hemp will save the world, y'all, and not even pulling punches. It'll stop us cutting down trees. It'll be it's healthy feed. It's a superfood for all animals. You should see my biomass pile in the back of my garage that I've already rinsed and used the hemp. And here in Southern Colorado, we are warmer. So our bees wake up. They do this thing where they'll wake up when it's warm for 3 or 4 days, and then they'll go back into hibernation. But they wake up, they're looking for superfoods. But because it's been in the middle of some crazy weather patterning, like everybody has been experiencing, there's hardly anything for them to eat. So they are at my biomass pile eating, gorging themselves. The whole hive is there eating, and then they go back into hibernation. So hemp can feed animals. Hemp, we're getting it all into everything. Okay. So industrial hemp, we can make woods. We can replace all paper product. We can replace all fossil fuels from industrial hemp. Okay. Now, please go research all of that. Don't just take my word for it. Hemp for CBD, which looks just like a cannabis plant when it's growing straight up like a cannabis. It's short. It's has the bigger buds. And hemp for CBD or hemp for medicine right now, as it stands in the United States, federally, it's legal to produce hemp for CBD or hemp for medicine with a THC of 0.03 or less. That is the most asinine thing in the entire world to ask a plant to do. Okay.
I didn't know you could ask a plant to do that. I thought they just grow and do their own thing.
They do. And so when the farm bill is passed for 420 for the hemp and everything, and Colorado really jumped on it, and all these farmers, and the federal at 0.03%, it's asinine. Okay. So Coloradoans were burning their crops by fields because it was too hot, qualified as too hot. We'll get to the maybe even potentially the politics of this and all this other stuff, but here pretty soon when cannabis is completely taken off the scheduled list of drugs, then this whole thing is going to alter. But for right now, cannabis plants are generally plants that are grown for the production of high yielding THC with a low CBD benefit. Okay. And that's for industrially. Okay. CBD hemp for CBD is being grown for your mass production extraction of CBD, CBDN, CBG, and different things like that. And as people grow and they become more educated and they start doing better extractions, and then that goes on to the market. This is all in, and all these years and everything it took me to get here I'm so excited because we will be growing medium scale craft heritage cannabis. And what I mean by that is it is specifically genetic DNA. Doc has spent 30 years to create these lines. He is last of the Green Mountain growers from Humboldt County, Emerald Triangle. Back in the day, the old illegal growers, people that know about that Humboldt area know about how much of a boss and OG that Doc is. I'm going to go partner with him, and we're going to grow organic, FDA approved craft cannabis that is all patented under his strains.
Wow.
We're going to be focusing on all these veteran groups. We are both veterans. He is a Green Beret Delta from Vietnam. Wow. I'm a Gulf War era veteran, Army. We're both Army Airborne. We are partnering with GI Joints, and GI Joints is going to be doing a lot of different programs with veterans. We have 8 promise intent letters from 8 distribution companies all over California before we even get going. We have over 800 dispensaries. We will be selling this, what's called, heritage craft cannabis. And we'll be selling it for the $1,200 industrial price of that you'll see in any dispensary. It's going for a lot more than that.
You know what I find interesting is that when you say cannabis, and people their mind automatically goes somewhere. Why is it so taboo?
Because back in the 1960s, the drug and alcohol companies got together because they started doing the 50s and 60s. The medical doctors started doing these white papers, started doing studies on THC. They were asked to do these by the same people who were paying for all of the reefer madness propaganda to go out, the alcohol and pharmaceutical companies. And so they were doing a psyops basically on the American people to trick them into, and it was based on race. It was racist, and it was racial driven, and it was to trick people into, if you're a good person, you'll never touch this reefer madness. So it's this propaganda. But when they first came out, they started paying doctors to prove that THC was bad for you. And in fact, it came back completely opposite. They paid to bury those studies. And then they did all this propaganda of reefer madness. They unfortunately used race, and they really started hitting on that racial divide back in the 40s, 50s, 60s that were happening when we were trying to come out of this racial stuff between the North and the South.
Right.
And it just gained a momentum. I bought into it myself, being a serious athlete, being someone that was raised conservative, being somebody of faith. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm not smoking that reefer madness. Yeah.
Do you know what they say about that stuff? It'll make you crazy, make you lose your mind.
It's the devil's weed. Yeah. It is so crazy what they did to go out of their way to demonize it. We could get into a lot of the history of it, like how in each world war that they all of a sudden hemp becomes magically illegal because they need it in the production of ropes and infrastructure and all this other stuff. But then all of a sudden we're out of war area like that at a mass scale.
Now it's taboo again.
And it's illegal again. And so not just taboo, but illegal. I mean, they go through the legal channels to, it's like this crazy, ridiculous prohibition that's been on the cannabis and hemp plant since
forever.
For 40s, 50s, 60s. Yeah.
How does cannabis help veterans?
Cannabis helps veterans in my experience. Over the last 20 years, I had a best friend back in 2002. I met up in Summit County. They came up to ski, but they lived down here in Southern Colorado in Beulah, Pueblo area. And he was a caregiver for cannabis. And I thought, that's cool. What does that mean? He goes, well, I grow cannabis for people who are sick. Oh, that's cool. Because we went medical in 2002, skied with these 2 individuals and ended up becoming best friends with his wife. And I would go down there just, to hang out with my best friend. And for years, trim pounds of weed, never smoked it. Would sit there and listen to the stories about how she would save these people's lives when they come to her with stage 4 cancer, and she was taking the trim from all the cannabis. Because her husband would package it up and then give it to the patients. And then she's like a cook, and she's like, oh, let me play with this trim. What can I do with all of this? And then started making these things, and then went to Oaksterdam College in California to get more training on what you can do edible wise and how to break down the plant a little bit more. And she started making Phoenix tears, which is a concentrated form of the cannabis plant. And then people started coming to her that had cancer. And I'm watching this over the years going, wow, this is really cool. Then I started helping her make it. Like I would just go down there and hang out with my best friend and just help her with whatever project that she had going on.
This is cool. We're just hanging.
Yeah, this is totally cool. I mean, I love this because I was raised on a cotton farm, and I'm very familiar with, I started in a agricultural background. I understand all of that. So, I mean, I was driving trucks, farm trucks and heavy equipment at 11, on a farm. That's back in the day. That's what you did.
Yeah.
I came from the generation of people who got their pilot's license and was driving heavy equipment before they ever got their driver's license. That's the generation I come from. That would be Generation X, y'all. So I found my way to this because my body started to straight up deteriorate over the years. Just couldn't hold. I mean, it was a good thing I worked for myself because I wouldn't be able to work for anybody else. The going to the emergency room with the pain and that I was struggling with this. Now what I understand years later of Gulfworm syndrome. It got to the point where I was having strokes. I had a gallbladder that was about to burst, had to have that taken out, on ramping up to the emergency hysterectomy that I had in my 30s, which put me in surgical menopause. And if you don't know what that is, it sucks so badly.
Yeah.
In my 30s.
I've heard of it. I've read up on it. It's basically you're overnight, you've taken all the hormones away and your body goes into like its 50, 60, 7-year-old mode. Yeah.
The
only thing worse than too many,
mass.
Hormones is not enough hormones. Ask
That's
any
right.
woman in her 50s.
Exactly. But imagine going through because normally you would go through the change over 3, 4, 5 years, have the hot flashes or whatever, while your body gets used to the lowering of those hormones. Not with the surgical menopause. It's gone immediately. It's gone.
At the like night and day.
At the height of your hormone production. So that sucked all in itself. And so it caused a whole bunch of issues. So here I was running a multi-million-dollar spec and custom home business in Silverthorne, Vail, Aspen. During this time, I was 35 and I had to go through an emergency total hysterectomy. So I was like, you guys, I don't have time for this. I'm a female entrepreneur. I run my own business. I do my own thing. If I don't show up, I don't get paid. And I got to get on with this. So I had to have some sort of hormone therapy that worked for me. I tried to do organic topical, nothing balanced me out. I was like a raging. I couldn't deal with it. You ruin your own business. You can't act like that. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I need to learn how
Something's got to happen here.
Right. So they put me on Yasmin for hormone replacement. That's that pill that was killing all those people in America.
Gosh.
They got the stuff sued out of them later. And I joined the lawsuit and won. But what happened is I started stroking one day for 4 hours. Until I found my way to an emergency room. I walked in and I said, something's wrong. And then I fell down dead. My heart stopped. I just happened to be in the middle of an emergency room. So I had been bilaterally stroking. And when I woke up to complete full left side paralysis, and my motor cortex from my verbal cortex was damaged. But I had 28% of my brain damaged. I was bilaterally sending clots to both sides of my brain. I woke up in intensive care in St. Anthony's Hospital here in Central here in Lakewood, Colorado. And they're basically, well, you lived through that one, but we're not really sure what's going to happen because of all this damage, right? And they were trying to keep my pain level down because they still hadn't figured out what caused it. 3 weeks intensive care and then heart surgery. And that was just back to back to back nonsense. And by the time it was all said and done, I couldn't walk. I had lost 30 pounds. I couldn't keep water, food down. I was nauseous all the time. I was completely jacked up. And My friend finally came up to me and she's like, oh my God, you've tried everything else. You've tried every pill they've shoved at you. You've let them take out everything they wanted to cut on you about, and you won't take any cannabis. Come on, we're sick of it. Like you gotta at least
It's
try
like a
this
last ditch
once.
effort.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's like,
Just
listen,
this once.
I'm literally on my deathbed before I'm willing to try any cannabis, bought so lock, stock, and barrel into this reefer madness, and it was mad for me, that really what I had been doing was worse for me. And so I go rolling in a wheelchair to get my medical card, and the owner comes out and he's like, my God, I saw you come in. Cause you could just look at me and see how much pain I was in. I had full-time migraine. This was right before my stroke, is right when I got my medical card, literally weeks.
Oh my goodness.
And so I'm laying in there, and every time they come in to give me painkillers, I was so toxified by everything they were giving me at this point that I'd go into convulsions when they tried to give me fentanyl or something like that, just to bring my pain level down. So I kept sending the nurses out, even though I couldn't talk. I could sure make a lot of hand movements with one hand.
Do you read sign language?
Yeah, you see the sign language I'm telling you here right now? I don't care if I'm intubated and you can't hear me. I'm giving you a clear signal.
Right.
That means get the hell out of my room with that nonsense.
Did cannabis help with any of that?
The head of the intensive care came in and he said, what do you do? We got to give you some sort of painkiller. Your blood pressure's too high. We don't want you to have another stroke. And I showed him my medical card. And he's like, you see all the oxygen you're hooked up to? You blow up in here. This is an intensive care unit. So I was the very first one that they let off of an intensive care unit to roll down to the Stations of the Cross with my 3 or 4 things I had to roll with me. I was all hooked up to me.
I bet.
So that I could smoke cannabis. And
wow.
Oh yeah. And so this is what it did. 1 year to the day. I told you 28%. I had CAT scans and MRIs and the whole holy of it. 1 year to the day of eating as much of the edibles as I possibly could and smoking specific strains that I was playing around with that I thought might help me with the different things I was experiencing, from the reawakening to the nerves and the fire and the pain that creates and different things like that. Learning how to walk again, talk again, cognitive speech therapy. A year to the day after just eating edibles that my best friend made for me and smoking just a little bit, all of the scar tissue was gone from my brain. 1 year to the day.
Oh,
that's cannabis. That is cannabis, folks.
Wow. So I do know that you were able to get Pueblo County to accept legal cannabis in 2010. How did you do that?
My best friend who live about 30, 40 minutes away from here in Beulah on that farm, had so many people that found their way to them over the years that came to him and said, all right, Western medicine sent me home to die. I've got stage 4 cancer. They're like, I don't want to die. And she's like, well, try this. And it is a syringe of concentrated Phoenix tears. And at her death, unfortunately, in 2016, every one of those cancer survivors were there. And there were 50 of them standing in that room.
Oh my
Over
goodness.
the 20 years that she was doing it, 50 people came to her and lived actually longer than she did. She died in her sleep of a heart attack, unfortunately. So it was unforeseen. Wow. We were getting ready to open an edible dispensary. We had got all of our licensing and everything, and we had bought a warehouse in Denver. And it was because I particularly liked eating my medicine. I like it because it helps more with my body symptoms. My head is clear.
Right.
You know what I mean? But my body's pain is being managed, and it's helping. And over the years of me, so going back to the Pueblo, how did I do that? I said, because what had happened was when Colorado became medical, they left it up to each town whether or not they were going to allow it to be there. Pueblo chose to be a dry county because they had been the problem child in Colorado with drugs and gangs for years, and they were just getting all cleaned up and starting to get all going in the right direction. And Pueblo didn't have such a bad reputation anymore. And they were like, hell no, we're not bringing in cannabis, because they saw it the same way that all the rest of us did. Most people
see it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a drug. It's going to cause problems. It's going to bring in crime, all that kind of stuff. And so I said, let me have a hearing then. I went to before the city council and I said, let me have a hearing then. And they rolled their eyes, but they were like, okay. They gave me a week. They're like, really? You need a week? And I said, I'm telling you, you're going to hear from my people. On the third night of hearings before them bringing MS patients, people that got up out of wheelchairs, seizure patients, parents that moved to Colorado because their kids were having seizures and doctors wanted to remove parts of their brain. And instead of doing that, they came and started giving them CBD and it stopped the seizures.
Right.
Okay. Like we got people moving here. So person after person after person after person. It was like the third night they just said, "Uncle, we give."
Okay, fine. Do what you need to do.
We will give this a trial period. Okay. And I was like, okay. And it opened up. And now this is the largest and actually best area for growing both hemp and cannabis in the state. It's the most indicative area, the best place to do it. So now we're open. And it's when Governor Polis came in, he then put that $280 billion towards the cannabis industry. Wow. And it actually targeted Pueblo and the farmlands outside of Pueblo as the area. Like he's giving away like huge farm bills for people who want to grow hemp, huge money for people who want to go in and do anything has to do with the hemp industry, clothing. Wow. Oh my God. Like so much money is available. Like if you want to do anything hemp, y'all. And also on that topic, the VA, the government has a program for any veteran. It's called the Veteran to Farm Project. You can get money up to $900,000 per person to start growing hemp as a veteran from the federal government.
Now you won't read that in any newsletter.
No, I mean, y'all, it's going to save the planet. I'm telling you. Yeah. I have these concentrates that I too made, even after my best friend passed, and I make them for myself. And then people just find their way to me. I don't advertise. I just leave it up to spirit or whatever, guidance or whatever you believe in, higher power, that they're going to find their way to me. And I don't just have cancer patients. I have people who have anxiety. I have people who have PTSD. And you asked how it helps veterans. Let me tell you, this cannabinoid, this endocannabinoid system, I specifically see it helping PTSD. I'm 70% rated from PTSD. And it's like something, brainwave that starts to happen. This thing starts happening in your brain when you start to get triggered into something. And it's an actual physical thing that happens. Some people are like, oh, that's mental. It's in your head. Well, no, it's a physical response, a physical vibration your brain starts to go into, or frequency when it starts to go into PTSD and whichever place it hits you in your brain. And it starts to do sort of like this fry out, fry out, like a loop that keeps firing and firing and firing and firing. And that's where you get the anxiety and
and it won't stop.
And it won't stop. CBD, just one cannabinoid profile from this 300 and something. Like, so if you can't have THC, you're in still, because we're still there. We're states that are illegal or just haven't passed any comprehensive law, and you're not really, you have a job or something like that. Just CBD with zero THC will snap you out of a trigger, because it goes in and it slows down that physiological response to the emotional trigger that actually happens in your brain.
And then your anxiety lowers and you start to feel more like yourself. Exactly. Here's a question for you. So are most of your customers, I guess, are they in state? Do you have people who come out of state to come see you? I mean,
mostly
how does that
out
work?
Of state, because they don't have the access.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They allegedly don't have access. So they come to me. And for years and years and years, I just have been the one willing to stand on the front line, and I will get it to you. I believe in veteran access. And here's the other crazy thing. Most of the people that come to me, but I think about it, if you think about it, of course they'd find their way to me, because I used to be them, but very conservative people, very concerned about what this is, very concerned about how it would impact them in many different ways. And those are the people who find their ways to me, the very conservative ones. And I'm able to speak to them.
Yeah.
And just to let you know, the pandemic, I had 3 new cancer patients come to me with stage 4 mass and metastasized into like bone, organs, and different things like that. And after 6 weeks of taking my full spectrum hemp oil with a little bit of THC in it, with all the different cannabinoid profiles, they have half or even better of those tumors have shrunk. and it's being tracked by their doctors.
Yeah.
I'm telling these people to go straight up to their oncologist, to go straight to their doctors and tell them what they're doing.
Yeah.
And like people like even in Utah and stuff like that, like want to know like that. Cause like I've done it with a couple of them, like they're like, I don't feel comfortable with that. What if they stop doing my chemo? Cause I also, cause it does not interact with any kind of Western medicine. It does not. Yeah. It doesn't, does not. It doesn't contraindicate with anything. Just
I've always wondered, you know, my dad had a certain form of cancer that they use. I don't know what the standard is. I guess chemo and radiation. And every time I say that, my body takes this physical, like it like revolts against it, you know?
Yeah.
And so I've always been one of those people that, you know, I always want to try to find a natural way to do things to take care of my body. But I mean, it really sounds as though you need to write a book, girl. Okay. You've got so much knowledge that, you need to spread that knowledge around. And, you know, I would love to come to Colorado and see what you do and how you do it. And because I'm totally fascinated by that, you know?
Well, thank you. I think it's education. It's about education. And I love that part of it. I call myself a cannabis activist and educator, because it's like, you know, when you ask, how did you get people to change their mind? You just show them, educate their minds them. And it changes their hearts. Yeah. Hearts and minds. I use that all the time. It's like you educate their mind, it'll change their heart.
But it's also having a choice. You can take this or you can do this. Don't just say this is it. And I'm like,
or both,
or both. Like, yeah. But I've got a choice. Try this. I have a choice. Don't just tell me it's got to be this way. You only do it this way and that's it. And I'll be like, no. Okay. I'm a natural rebel at heart.
Me too, sister.
So I'm like, no, that's not happening. One last question before we go. What else would you like people to know about cannabis that maybe they don't really know?
That it's not the demon plant that they've been told, that it's natural. I believe it was put here by a higher power to help us. And educate yourself and seek out platforms that you can learn a lot from. Let me tell you what, I have just been enjoying Clubhouse. I have met the most incredible people. I think the industry will be forever changed this season out of the impact of people in the industry getting together and having access to each other like they do through Clubhouse. So educate yourself, get on a Clubhouse, Google things, search things out, research the endocannabinoid system. Start putting two and together.
Information junkie.
Yes.
When I want to know something, I look at everything I can about it, what's available. And I truly believe in what you're doing. You're not the first person that said that this type of therapy has helped others. It's not just about, smoking it or eating it and then laying around and having the munchies and everything. This is real life that's happening. And again, I would love to come see what you do. I would love to help you in whatever way I can, whether it's, the platform for, the podcast, if it's, getting your name out there, helping you in any way. But I think that, sometimes, being number one, being the first person is a little scary because you have to be out there in front and you're taking all those pot shots until all of a sudden you start to get this army that's helping you, and all of a sudden you're like, okay. And then people start to say, hey, wait a minute, maybe they've got something here, you got to change people's thought processes around certain things. And once you do that, then they're more open to say, okay, what is this about? Tell me. And it's only when they get desperate sometimes, they're like, oh, that stuff. And all of a sudden they get this diagnosis and they're like, oh crap. Who was that woman who was talking about cannabis? What was her name? I need to find her out, Sierra, I think what you're doing is fabulous. And I'm a fan of yours. And if I can help in any way with anything, please let me know. But it was such a pleasure having you on the show.
Well, thank you so much. You're going to have to catch me in Humboldt County this season here. but you're welcome. You're welcome to come out to the farm. I'd love to show you what we're going to be doing, but it's a lot of these specifically veteran tailored programs. And if you want to have a program about that or a podcast about that sometime about what we're really doing with the veterans, I'd love to go into that to and further. And thank you for your offer. I think it takes a community. It takes a village. I think it's us coming together and helping one another, supporting one another, because I have this knowledge, but I don't have the time to put it down. I can do interviews and stuff like that. So I'm just waiting for all the pieces to come together. But Doc and I are going to be doing specific educational programs and so on. And then I have my specific areas of passion with regard to making the medicine that I do and getting that as an access to anyone. It doesn't matter where it does if you're in another country. I am limited to the United States, but
but I think one of the things that we have to realize is that as veterans, we have to stick together, because civilians, I love them, but saying, oh, thank you for your service, that's nice, but that doesn't help me. But if we as veterans stood together, shoulder to shoulder, we could change things. You know what I'm saying? Because we are a voice that you can't deny us. Because we're gonna be yelling so loud, they're gonna be like, okay, we need to talk to them so that we can just turn this volume down.
Exactly.
But, and I think that, once we start to do that, people, organizations, companies are going to start to pay attention and say, okay, we need to listen to them because they've got something to say. So thank you so much for your time, Sierra.
You're welcome. It's been so great to be here with you. I look forward to being with you again in the future.
Well, everyone, that's the end of our show. I hope that you got to know a little bit more about Sierra and what she does and how she helps veterans. I hope you will stay tuned on June 15th, where episode 19, we will be talking with another veteran. Until then, please take care of each other, and until next time,